single seed, a global empire, the $6 billion nut that changed America. Imagine holding the world's most valuable nut in your hand. California grows over 80% of all almonds on Earth, shipping nearly 2 billion pounds a year to more than 100 countries. At harvest peak, 40 million pounds are picked every single day, enough to circle the globe. And the almond market, projected to reach 13 billion by 2027, doubling in just 10 years. Here's a question. How many almonds are harvested in California every single minute during peak season? The answer will shock you, so don't blink. This is the untold story of the California almond, how a humble seed sparked a global revolution, reshaping lives, economies, and the future of food. From ancient tradition to high-tech innovation, from drought to global trade wars, discover the secret power behind the world's most extraordinary nut. Stay tuned. The real secret is hidden in plain sight, waiting to change how you see the foods you eat forever. Before the world changed, there was a promise forgotten. In the golden heart of California, where the Central Valley stretches broad and bold beneath an endless blue sky, the story of the almond begins, not just as an agricultural crop, but as a symbol of innovation, survival, and hope. Imagine the land at dawn, an ocean of almond trees in symmetrical rows, stretching mile after mile, leaves glistening with dew and the scent of spring blossoms rising with the fog. Every year, these groves wake from winter's sleep to a riot of pink and white. Millions of blossoms appear overnight, their petals opening to welcome the sun. Bees hum in clouds, darting from flower to flower, carrying with them the secret of life. Their work is invisible, but essential. No bees, no almonds. It's that simple. For generations, this land drew in dreamers and builders, families from Italy, Portugal, Mexico, Vietnam, and beyond, who came with little more than hope and a willingness to work the unforgiving earth. They tilled by hand, planted saplings row by row, and waited, sometimes years before the first true harvest. Their tools were simple, their knowledge passed down by word of mouth, trial and error, and weathered experience. Maria's family was one of those. Her grandfather arrived with empty pockets and a relentless faith. He and his wife lived in a wooden shack, watching the valley change with every season, saving every penny for new trees and new land. As decades rolled by, California itself transformed. The Central Valley, once a wild mosaic of grassland and marsh, became a tapestry of ordered orchards and canals. Towns rose from the dust. Railroads and highways brought the world closer. And all the while, the almond tree thrived. Rooted in soil enriched by ancient rivers, shaped by the hands of immigrants, and fueled by the relentless California sun. But beneath the beauty, the struggle was real. The land was unforgiving. Droughts came often, storms sometimes wiped out entire crops, and pests tested the patience of every grower. Maria's grandfather remembered years when the rain never came, when he stood among his thirsty trees and wondered if the gamble had been worth it. Yet he persevered, passing on the orchard and the lessons it held to his children. By the turn of the 21st century, something extraordinary began to happen. Innovation arrived, not as a sudden revolution, but as a steady wave that changed everything. Drip irrigation replaced the old open ditches, saving precious water drop by drop. Solar panels appeared on barns and packing sheds, harnessing the fierce valley sun to power the farm's future. Drones soared overhead, mapping every acre in sharp detail, able to spot a single wilted leaf or a line of thirsty trees in a sea of green. Beneath the surface, networks of underground sensors tracked soil moisture, sending real-time data to Maria's phone and her son Ethan's laptop. Ethan had left for college in San Jose, drawn by dreams of technology and the pulse of the city. But when his father grew ill, he returned to the orchard with new ideas. Together with Maria, he installed sensors in every field, linked irrigation to satellite forecasts, and used AI-driven weather models to predict frost, rain, or wind. They switched to mechanical pollination for backup on years when bee populations dropped. In the barn, Ethan built a simple app that let workers track every task, from pruning to harvest, ensuring nothing was missed. Despite these advances, tradition persisted. At sunrise, Maria still walked the rows as her father and grandfather had, tasting the soil, checking buds, listening to the bees. She taught Ethan the old signs, the color of the bark, the way the leaves curled before a storm, the feel of the wind before a frost. And in return, Ethan showed her how to read the data, how to trust the algorithms, how to let the sensors guide their choices. This blend of old and new changed everything. Instead of guessing when to water, they now irrigated at exactly the right moment, saving not just water, but time, money, and the very life of their orchard. When a pest outbreak threatened, drones spotted it days earlier than before. The whole family gathered around Ethan's laptop at night, watching the data stream in, deciding together what the next day would bring. But the setting of the California almond story is more than just land and technology. It's a community. Neighbors share advice and sometimes equipment. Migrant workers, many from Central America, return each spring and fall, bringing skills, stories, and songs from home. Scientists from the state university visit regularly, testing new rootstocks, gathering samples for research, and teaching farmers how to adapt to the changing climate. Over the years, Maria's family became known for their willingness to experiment. They were among the first to try deficit irrigation, stressing the trees a little in spring so the nuts would be richer, tastier, and easier to harvest. When the first AI-driven nut sorters became available, they invested, watching in amazement as computers sorted thousands of almonds per minute by size, shape, and color. They even began to sell data, not just nuts, offering their orchard as a living lab for startups and scientists to test new ideas. Still, for all the progress, the land holds its secrets. Each year, as the first buds swell and break open, Maria is reminded that nothing is certain. The valley can be cruel. A single late frost, a summer of drought, or a wave of disease can undo years of planning in a moment. But it's this very uncertainty that keeps the work meaningful, keeps families like hers rooted in the land. Standing beneath her oldest tree, Maria sometimes thinks of her grandfather, his laughter, his hope, his fear. She wonders what he would make of the drones and tablets, the sensors and apps. She thinks he would be proud, not because the old ways are gone, but because the promise is being kept. The promise to care for the land, to adapt, to never give up. California's Central Valley, in the end, is more than a place. It's a promise renewed each year with every blossom, every sunrise, every nut harvested and shipped out to the world. Here, the almond's journey truly begins, a journey shaped by tradition, propelled by innovation, and sustained by hope. And as the blossoms fall and the nuts begin to form, a new energy stirs in the orchards. The stage is set for the next act in this epic, one that will reveal not just the fruits of labor, but the power of human ingenuity to transform an industry, a landscape, and perhaps even the future itself. But peace was short-lived. As spring fades and the valley bakes beneath a sun that seems to burn hotter every year, the almond trees shift from gentle blossoms to heavy clusters of ripening fruit. The air thickens with anticipation and a kind of quiet urgency. Everyone in the community knows harvest is coming, and with it, a season of challenge, risk, and breathtaking spectacle. Harvest begins with a choreography honed over generations, but now guided by technology and data. Before dawn, crews roll into the groves, checking equipment and reviewing sensor readouts. Towering mechanical tree shakers move among the rows, each one guided by GPS and adjusted to shake just enough to release the ripe almonds without damaging the tree. Maria remembers stories of how her grandfather and his neighbors would shake the trees by hand, ropes tied high to branches, children scurrying to collect nuts that fell in small cascades. Now, in less than a minute, the ground beneath each tree is blanketed with almonds, a rain of treasure released with a controlled tremor. Sweeper machines, broad and low to the ground, glide along the dusty alleys, gently herding the almonds into perfect windrows. Vacuum harvesters follow, rumbling through the orchards as they gather nuts and filter out leaves, twigs, and dust. Drones hover overhead, mapping progress and identifying any missed patches, sending real-time updates to Maria's phone. Inside the processing sheds, the miracle of modern technology takes center stage. Conveyor belts shuttle millions of almonds through lines of sensors, cameras, and robotic arms. Artificial intelligence, trained on images of perfect and imperfect almonds, sorts the crop with a speed and precision unimaginable a generation ago. Nuts that pass the test move forward, while others are set aside for animal feed or industrial uses. Nothing is wasted. Every part of the harvest finds a purpose. Ethan watches the data flow on his screen: kernel moisture, shell thickness, projected yield by block and variety. He He tweaks machine settings in real time, responding to sudden changes, a spike in humidity, a belt that needs cleaning, a section of orchard that's falling behind. The entire operation is a living system, humans and machines communicating constantly, adapting hour by hour as the harvest unfolds. Outside, semi-trucks queue along the dirt roads, waiting to carry this bounty to hulling and shelling plants across the valley. Here, the almonds are further cleaned, cracked open by precise rollers, and separated from their shells by air jets and more AI-driven sorters. At every step, data is logged, quality tracked, and traceability assured. Consumers thousands of miles away will one day scan a barcode and know exactly where, when, and how their almonds were grown. Yet for all the power of machines and data, the human touch endures. Maria walks the rows at sunset, feeling the dust cling to her boots, the tiredness in her bones, and the satisfaction of a day's labor nearly done. She exchanges stories and advice with neighbors, troubleshooting problems, sharing tools, and offering encouragement when a breakdown or bad weather threatens the harvest. In these moments, the orchard feels less like a business and more like a community, a web of families, workers, scientists, and dreamers bound together by the fate of this tiny nut. Not everything is perfect. The relentless pace leaves little time for rest, and every year brings new hurdles, market fluctuations, labor shortages, equipment failures, and the ever-present specter of drought. Maria and Ethan debate strategy late into the night. Should they invest in more automation or hire more workers next season? Should they trial a new variety of drought-tolerant almond or stick with what has always worked? This is what makes California's almond harvest unique. It's not just a process, it's an evolving drama, a living laboratory where tradition meets the cutting edge and where every decision carries weight far beyond the boundaries of a single orchard. And so, as the last rays of sunlight slip away, the valley quiets for a few hours, until morning brings another round of shaking, sweeping, sorting, and hope. The journey of the almond has always been shaped by challenge, but for Maria, Ethan, and the thousands like them, each harvest is proof that resilience, imagination, and community can turn the smallest seed into a global force. Yet even as the valley celebrates the bounty of another successful harvest, storm clouds, literal and figurative, are gathering on the horizon. The greatest challenges are yet to come. But even in triumph, no one can afford complacency. The story of California almonds is as much about the drama behind the harvest as the nuts themselves, a saga of restless innovation, heated competition, and relentless adaptation in the face of changing times. Step into the heart of a modern almond facility and you're met by a spectacle straight from the future. Here, lines of hulling machines rumble like thunder, their metal arms and belts whirring with the precision of a symphony. Each almond is carried, inspected, and sorted by computer vision systems thousands of times faster than any human could manage. Workers monitor digital dashboards, ready to intervene if a belt jams, a camera detects a faulty kernel, or a moisture sensor flags a warning. What truly sets California's almond process apart isn't just its scale, it's the integration of technology at every level. In one corner, a robotic arm stacks finished cartons onto pallets for export. In another, an AI-powered quality control system snaps high-resolution images of each nut, analyzing for imperfections invisible to the naked eye. Maria marvels as the data pours in: kernel size, color distribution, even microscopic cracks inside the shell, all logged and analyzed in real time. If a single batch falls outside ideal parameters, the system halts production, alerting both Ethan on the farm and engineers halfway around the world. Meanwhile, the logistics web hums in the background. Blockchain-based tracking systems provide total transparency. Every step, from orchard to shipping container, is recorded. A supermarket in Germany can trace a single almond back to the precise plot in Maria's orchard where it grew. This traceability is more than a marketing tool. It's a safeguard, a way to respond instantly to food safety concerns or changing regulations anywhere in the world. Innovation has bred a new kind of competition too. Across the valley, large corporations and nimble startups race to outdo one another, developing faster processors, smarter sensors, more efficient solar arrays. Farmers compare notes on irrigation apps, drone flight plans, and the latest variety trials. There's a constant undercurrent of tension. Who will discover the next breakthrough that changes the game? Ethan, ever the tinkerer, spends evenings experimenting with machine learning models and 3D printed tools, hoping to give his family a tiny edge in a business where margins are razor thin and the stakes are high. Yet for all its sophistication, the almond industry is not immune to the quirks and chaos of nature. A sudden heat wave can shrivel nuts on the tree. A swarm of invasive pests can slip past even the best early warning systems. There are years when the market turns overnight, when tariffs, trade wars, or global shipping snarls leave warehouses packed with unsold product. It is in these moments that the real character of the industry is revealed. Sometimes the drama is deeply personal. Maria recalls the year a powerful windstorm knocked down an entire section of their orchard days before harvest. She and Ethan spent sleepless nights scrambling to salvage what they could, calling in neighbors, bargaining for borrowed equipment, working under floodlights as the sky threatened rain. They lost more than half their crop that season, but gained something money couldn't buy: a renewed sense of resilience, a deeper bond with their community, and a burning determination to be better prepared next time. Then there are the small, everyday dramas: a sensor glitch that triggers a midnight alarm, a worker's car stuck in the mud, a last-minute scramble to meet an overseas shipping deadline. Each problem solved is a testament to human adaptability, to the culture of quick thinking and mutual support that underpins the entire process. But not all challenges are external. The relentless drive for efficiency and volume has sparked fierce debates about what's lost when machines replace hands, when tradition gives way to algorithms, when the connection between farmer and earth becomes filtered through a screen. Maria sometimes worries that her children won't learn the old ways, the stories, the instincts, the subtle signs that once meant everything. Ethan, for his part, is convinced that the future lies in data, in precision, in optimization. Yet somehow, they meet in the middle. Harvest dinners stretch late into the night as 3 generations debate, argue, and laugh about what matters most. Is it yield or flavor, profit or sustainability, innovation or tradition? There are no easy answers, only a constant balancing act, a dance as old as the almond trees themselves. And even in the thick of the most high-tech harvest, the human element remains irreplaceable. Every innovation, every upgrade, every leap in efficiency begins with a question, a hunch, a moment of insight born of experience. When the sun sets and the last load of almonds is processed, it's Maria who walks the rows in silence, touching the bark, whispering thanks, promising to return again next season. It's Ethan who lingers by the computer, running simulations, trying to predict what next year will bring, but also remembering to listen for the wisdom in his mother's stories. In California's almond country, drama never ends. With each new technology, a new uncertainty arises. With every challenge overcome, another looms just out of sight. Yet this is what sets the almond process apart: the willingness to embrace risk, the courage to change, the humility to fail and start again. This is not just the story of a nut, it's the story of a people and their endless quest to grow, adapt, and thrive against all odds. And in this crucible of change and competition, the almond remains both a prize and a promise. But as the next chapter begins, fresh challenges are gathering on the horizon, some natural, some man-made, all demanding answers that will test the very soul of California's almond heartland. Yet even in ruin, a flicker of faith remained. For all the advances in technology and the resilience of those who farm this land, California's almond heartland is locked in a battle with forces far larger than any one grower or even the industry itself. The first and most formidable is water, or rather, the growing absence of it. The Central Valley, once fed by snowmelt and mountain streams, now faces year after year of relentless drought. Each almond, after all, is more than just a seed. It is water made solid, and every drop is hard-won. Maria and Ethan pore over spreadsheets, satellite imagery, and weather forecasts, tracking each acre-foot of water allotted to their orchards. The once predictable rhythms of the seasons have shifted. Rain comes late, or not at all. Rivers run thin. Well levels drop lower with each passing year. Even as sensors and data help fine-tune irrigation, the question looms: will there be enough to keep the trees alive for another season? The state enforces new water restrictions. Neighbors fight over allocations, wells run dry, and old alliances fray under the weight of scarcity. Bees, too, are under siege. Every spring, Maria pays a premium to bring in hives from across the country, entire trucks packed with pollinators that are essential for the crop. Yet each year, more bees die before the job is done, victims of pesticides, disease, or simply stress from long journeys and shrinking wildflower habitats. Ethan tries to compensate with mechanical pollination and hedgerows of native plants, but the yield suffers. No bees, no almonds. This reality is both ancient and inescapable. The weather grows more unpredictable. Spring frosts come late and hard. Summers stretch on with record-breaking heat. Wildfires, once rare, now fill the air with smoke for weeks, threatening not just the trees but the people who work among them. Ethan upgrades the orchard's air filters and evacuation plans. Maria keeps emergency kits in the barn and the house. Insurance premiums climb every year, and still, no one feels truly secure. Even as they face nature's onslaught, market pressures squeeze from the other side. Global competition intensifies. Spain, Australia, and China expand their almond acreage, vying for a piece of the lucrative export market. Quick poll: if California almonds disappeared tomorrow, which country do you think would take the global lead? Spain, Australia, or China? Drop your guess below. A trade dispute with India, a major buyer, leads to sudden tariffs and shipping delays. Prices fluctuate wildly, and Maria must decide: sell now or wait and gamble on a better market tomorrow. Labor, too, is an ever-shifting challenge. Fewer young people want to work the land. Immigration laws tighten. Farm workers move on to better-paying jobs in the cities or in other states. Ethan automates what he can, but some tasks, like pruning or training young trees, still require a skilled touch. Maria worries about the future of the community as old friends retire and fewer new families move in. For all these hardships, the family endures. Ethan's innovations allow them to stretch every drop of water, protect every bee, and harvest every nut with fewer hands. Maria's wisdom, rooted in decades of experience, guides the orchard through uncertainty, always adapting, always finding a way. The community bands together in new ways. Growers share water, swap advice on pest control, and pool resources for bulk shipping and insurance. Scientists and engineers from the local university run field trials on drought-tolerant rootstocks and new pollinator habitats. Young activists volunteer to help plant trees and maintain wildflower strips. Each season brings fresh uncertainty, but also new partnerships and creative solutions. And the struggles force hard questions. How do you grow a global business sustainably without depleting the land or the people who depend on it? How do you balance the need for profit with the responsibility to care for the environment? How do you innovate without losing the traditions and wisdom that have carried the industry this far? Maria and Ethan talk about these questions late at night, long after the rest of the house is asleep. Sometimes they disagree. Maria trusts the cycles of the land. Ethan believes in data and disruption, but both know that the future will demand sacrifice, collaboration, and constant change. As the world watches California's almond story unfold, one thing becomes clear: the industry is at a crossroads. The choices made today will echo for generations. The next solution, the next breakthrough, could come from anywhere. A neighbor's hunch, a startup software, a new law passed in Sacramento, or the hands of a child learning to care for a sapling. Through drought and fire, labor shortages and trade wars, one thing endures: a flicker of faith that with enough imagination and determination, every challenge can be met, and every crisis can spark renewal. But as the sun rises on a new season, Maria, Ethan, and their community know the fight is far from over. The greatest trials still lie ahead, and the search for lasting solutions, truly sustainable, truly fair, truly resilient, is just beginning. Despite all the challenges, something remarkable is happening in the almond orchards of California. Everywhere you look, solutions are taking root. The old promise, the hope that hard work and innovation could overcome even the harshest odds, is being renewed in ways that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. Ethan stands in the middle of the orchard, tablet in hand, as a row of solar panels glints in the midday sun behind him. The farm now draws much of its energy from the light above, powering pumps and processors, reducing costs, and shrinking the family's carbon footprint. A new drip irrigation system, guided by sensors buried deep in the soil, delivers water precisely when and where it's needed. No more, no less. Each drop is measured, every flow is mapped, and the entire network is managed from a phone. Maria no longer guesses. She knows, with confidence, that every tree is getting just enough to thrive, even in a year of drought. Pollination, too, is evolving. The family has joined a statewide effort to rebuild wildflower corridors, bringing native blooms back to the edges of their fields. These strips attract bees, butterflies, and other pollinators, making the ecosystem more resilient and the harvest more secure. For the first time, Maria sees wild bees returning on their own, a small but vital sign of hope. In the barn, Ethan is experimenting with AI-powered forecasting tools, feeding data from weather stations, market reports, and even satellite imagery into a machine learning model that predicts the best times to irrigate, spray, and harvest. The program isn't perfect, but it's getting smarter with every season, catching mistakes, saving money, and freeing up time for what matters most: family, learning, and community. On the processing side, the family invests in the latest vacuum packing equipment, extending the shelf life of their almonds and opening up new markets overseas. They collaborate with other growers to share costs on bulk shipping and to lobby for more sustainable packaging laws statewide. At every step, technology and cooperation are working hand in hand. Even the challenge of labor is sparking new ideas. Maria leads workshops on training workers in the use of advanced machinery, while Ethan helps local high school students set up a robotics club, hoping to inspire the next generation to see farming as a career of innovation and purpose. Migrant workers, once seen as seasonal labor, are now welcomed into the heart of the community, offered training, healthcare, and a voice in farm decisions. Perhaps the most powerful change is invisible, a shift in mindset. The old belief that survival meant going it alone is fading. In its place is a culture of sharing. Growers publish their data online, scientists make their findings available to all, and tech companies offer open-source tools for free. Problems that once seemed overwhelming, drought, pests, market volatility, are now tackled by networks of people pooling resources, knowledge, and hope. One evening, as the sky turns pink and gold, Maria and Ethan stand at the edge of their orchard and look out over the land. They see not just the trees, but the web of connections that make this place strong. Friends, colleagues, rivals, scientists, and even customers around the world. It's clear to them that the promise of the almond, once nearly lost to adversity, has returned in a new form. Their story is just one of thousands, but together these stories form a movement, a collective drive to do better, to heal the land, and to build a future where progress and stewardship go hand in hand. And as Maria looks at her son, she feels something she hasn't felt in years: certainty that the land will endure, that the community will thrive, and that the promise once made by her ancestors is alive in every innovation, every harvest, and every act of courage. Could a lost promise still be alive today? In California's almond orchards, the answer is yes, if we're willing to work for it together. Ancient voices spoke of a return. In kitchens and cafes from San Francisco to New York and far beyond America's borders, the almond has become more than just a snack. It's a staple, a symbol, and a silent revolution unfolding with every bite. Almond milk foams in lattes from Seattle to Seoul. Protein bars, cereals, pastries, and even cosmetics boast almond as a key ingredient. The journey from Maria and Ethan's sun-baked fields to supermarket shelves is a miracle of modern logistics and consumer demand. But the deeper impact goes much further than sales or recipes. For American families, almonds represent health, convenience, and a link to the land, even if that land lies thousands of miles away. In Texas, a mother slips a handful of roasted almonds into her child's lunchbox, never guessing the decades of science, sweat, and struggle that make such a simple act possible. In Florida, a young entrepreneur launches a startup selling almond-based energy snacks, touting their sustainability to eco-conscious millennials. Across Europe, new tariffs spark debate about food security and the global value chain. Each story, each choice weaves the almond more deeply into the fabric of modern life. Let's play a quick game. Guess which single state uses more water for almonds each year than the annual water consumption of some entire countries? That's right, California. Each almond takes about 1 gallon of water to produce. With over 1.25 million acres of almond orchards, That's a staggering amount of water, especially during record droughts. Poll time. If you were Maria, would you invest in high-tech drip irrigation and solar energy or stick with proven traditional methods? Type your answer in the comments. Innovation or tradition? For every dollar spent on almonds at a grocery store, a web of workers, scientists, drivers, and engineers feel the impact. The fortunes of a tiny nut ripple outward, shaping the economy of entire regions. But with this influence comes responsibility. The global appetite for almonds drives innovation, but also raises hard questions about water, carbon, and land. In recent years, consumer demand for transparency has sparked a new era of accountability. QR codes on packaging now link to videos of the very orchard where the nut was grown. Farm audits and sustainability reports are the norm, not the exception. Consumers, armed with smartphones and curiosity, are holding the industry to higher standards than ever before. For Maria and Ethan, this means constant adaptation. They invite school groups and journalists into their fields, showing how water is conserved and pollinators protected. They share data on soil health and biodiversity with university researchers and rival farms alike. Each year, they meet with buyers from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, answering questions not just about price and quality, but about ethics, stewardship, and the future of the land itself. The influence of California's almond industry doesn't end with economics. It's sparking broader change in food culture and sustainability. Nutritionists tout the benefits of almond-rich diets. Plant-based chefs experiment with almond flour, butter, and milk. The boom in dairy alternatives has led to new processing plants and technologies, spurring further innovation in the sector. Health studies drive demand and new uses emerge every season, from gluten-free baking mixes to biodegradable plastics derived from almond shells. Yet the almond's journey also challenges us to think about the true cost of convenience and abundance. Each nut embodies not only ingenuity and progress, but also water, labor, energy, and the legacy of the land itself. For the American consumer, whether in Georgia, North Carolina, or Ohio, the story of the almond is a lesson in connection, consequence, and choice. So, as the world continues to change, and as ancient voices seem to whisper in the winds that sweep across California's orchards, the almond remains a messenger, a bridge between past and present, farm and table, local labor, and global hope. And still, a question remains. What does all this mean for us, here and now? How can the journey of a single almond inspire the way we eat, live, and care for the world we share? The journey of the almond, from a fragile blossom in California's Central Valley to the tables and kitchens of the world, is more than just a tale of progress and profit. It's a reflection of the crossroads we all face, how we balance innovation with tradition, growth with stewardship, and personal gain with a sense of shared responsibility. For Maria, Ethan, and their family, each season is a reminder that the land is not something to be conquered, but to be understood and cared for. The choices they make about water, soil, technology, and community carry echoes far beyond the farm's boundaries. Their willingness to adapt, to embrace change, and to honor the lessons of the past shapes not only their own future, but that of everyone who depends on the simple miracle of food. Across the United States and around the globe, the story is much the same. Farmers, innovators, and everyday families face the same tensions. How do we feed more people with fewer resources? How do we restore what's been lost? How do we build systems that last, even as the climate shifts and new challenges appear? There are no easy answers, only the ongoing work of listening, learning, and trying together. Perhaps the most powerful lesson is that connection runs deeper than we realize. The almond is proof that a single seed, planted with care, can change landscapes, economies, and lives. Every choice, what we grow, what we buy, how we treat each other, and the land, ripples outward in ways we can barely imagine. Maria's story, Ethan's vision, and the labor of thousands across California are reminders that progress isn't just about machines or markets. It's about values, about respect for the earth, faith in the future, and a belief that our actions, however small, truly matter. The journey of the almond invites us to ask bigger questions. What kind of world do we want to grow? Who do we want to become? So, As you reach for a handful of almonds, pour a splash of almond milk into your morning coffee, or share a snack with a friend. Take a moment to consider the long journey that brought this simple food to you. Imagine the hands, the hopes, the struggles, and the triumphs behind every nut. How does this journey inspire you? How will you be part of the story we all share? One seed, one choice, one season at a time. A new season dawns over California's endless orchards, sunlight filtering through rows of trees that have weathered storms, droughts, and the constant march of time. Maria stands at the edge of her family's land, the air crisp with the promise of another harvest. She closes her eyes, listening to the quiet hum of bees and the distant whir of a solar-powered pump. In this moment, the long struggle, the sleepless nights, the hard decisions, the experiments and failures fades into a single, overwhelming feeling: gratitude. It's easy to overlook the miracle of a single almond, to forget the network of hands, minds, and dreams that brings it from blossom to table. But if this story has taught us anything, it's that nothing in life is truly simple or solitary. Every seed contains the memory of generations. Every innovation is rooted in hope. Every meal is an act of connection. Ethan joins his mother, handing her a handful of nuts. Small, ordinary, but in their own way, extraordinary. They share a smile that needs no words. Across California, thousands of families do the same. They celebrate not just the bounty, but the resilience and adaptability that made it possible. And now, the story passes to you. In every choice you make, what you eat, what you value, how you treat the world and those around you, you hold the power to carry the promise forward. Maybe you're a farmer or a teacher or someone who's never set foot in an orchard. It doesn't matter. The ripple starts with a single seed. The courage to imagine, the wisdom to adapt, the kindness to share. Inspired by the story of California's almond? Drop your thoughts or your own food journey in the comments below. And tell us, what crop or food would you love to see us explore next? Our next episode could feature the secret world behind your favorite chocolate, coffee, or rice. You decide. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another behind-the-scenes look at how the foods that shape our lives are truly made. The world is changing, but the promise endures. One seed, one season, one future, grown together.